The news spread like wildfire, and the internet hasn't stopped buzzing since. What began as a rumor quickly turned into a storm that shook the Harris family to its core. Hospitals are usually places of healing, but this time the whispers coming from behind those walls carried the weight of tragedy. Fans across the world are asking the same question: is this really the end for King Harris? Inside the hospital, the scene is heavy and tense. Lights flicker, nurses rush quietly, and the family gathers in silence. Phones ring unanswered while doctors prepare to deliver news no one wants to hear. For those closest to King, every second feels like an eternity. And yet, beyond the hospital doors, millions of strangers are watching, speculating, and reacting as if they are part of the story too. King Harris wasn't just another celebrity's child. From the very start, his name carried a crown, but with that crown came pressure, expectations, and constant attention. He lived a life under the spotlight, where every mistake became a headline and every outburst turned into trending topics. His Instagram rants, late-night altercations, and controversial statements painted him as reckless to some, but to others, he was a young man struggling to find his own place in a world that demanded too much too soon. When news first broke months ago that King's health might be in decline, few took it seriously. Fans thought it was just gossip, while critics dismissed it as another attempt to stay relevant. King himself added fuel to the fire, making cryptic posts online and mocking those who doubted him. In one tweet, he wrote, "Y'all want me gone so bad, huh? Careful what you wish for." At the time, it sounded like a joke. Today, those words feel haunting. According to insiders, King had been in and out of hospitals for weeks before this crisis. What many believed were routine checkups were actually emergencies. Nurses allegedly reported collapses, exhaustion, and treatments kept under wraps to protect the family's image. The truth, they say, was hidden behind a wall of silence because the Harris name had become more than just a family, it was a brand. And that brand demanded perfection. But perfection came at a cost. Behind the flashy cars, expensive jewelry, and viral performances, cracks were forming. There were reports of meltdowns backstage, moments when King admitted he couldn't keep going. One witness recalled him shouting, "I can't do this anymore," before breaking down in tears. Those close to him knew something was wrong, but whether out of denial or fear of scandal, the warning signs were ignored. Now, in the ICU, those ignored warnings have turned into reality. Doctors whisper about stress-related organ damage, possible self-medication, and dangerous habits that pushed his body to the limit. Some say it was the pressure of fame, others blame the environment he was raised in. Social media, of course, has its own harsh judgment. One viral comment reads, "Where was all this love when he needed help?" Another bluntly states, "He lived fast, now he's paying the price." Yet fans are heartbroken. Hashtags like #PrayForKing and #FinalGoodbye dominate Twitter and TikTok. Old performance clips and emotional fan art flood timelines. In one particularly viral video, a young girl cries while clutching King's photo, saying, "Don't leave us." That clip alone has been shared millions of times, a symbol of how deeply his story has touched people. But as the family prays at his bedside, another storm brews outside. Tabloids, bloggers, and gossip outlets are desperate to uncover every detail. Leaked reports suggest there's more to the story than failing health. Some documents hint at unregulated substances linked to shady suppliers in Atlanta, the kind of groups tied to illegal money and underground networks. If true, this paints a far darker picture of King's lifestyle, one that goes beyond youthful mistakes and into dangerous territory. The whispers don't stop there. Anonymous insiders allege the Harris family knew more than they let on, choosing to protect the brand instead of addressing the problem. If investigators confirm these claims, the fallout won't just be emotional, it could be legal. Lawsuits, federal probes, and accusations of negligence might soon overshadow the family's grief. For now, the Harris family is visibly shaken. T.I. has reportedly refused to leave the hospital, while Tiny has been seen crying uncontrollably. Siblings share cryptic posts, asking for prayers while avoiding details. It's a picture of a family caught between private heartbreak and public judgment, every move scrutinized by millions. And then there's the possibility of betrayal. Another rumor, perhaps the most explosive yet, claims King recorded a private message the night before his collapse. In it, he allegedly spoke of feeling set up and betrayed. If such a recording exists and surfaces, this story could shift from tragedy to conspiracy. Was King silenced? Was he carrying secrets that others wanted buried? The internet is already running wild with theories. Some believe he was about to expose industry corruption. Others think he was ready to break free from his family's control and reveal truths that could shatter their empire. Hashtags like #WhoKilledKing and #HarrisExposed are trending, with users analyzing every old post and video for clues. Back inside the hospital, the atmosphere is described as chaotic. Doctors focus on their duties, but the family is reportedly breaking down, arguing, crying, pointing fingers. Guilt and grief mix in a way that feels impossible to separate. Meanwhile, whispers of a final report being prepared circulate online. According to leaks, this document doesn't just outline King's medical decline. It allegedly includes every warning ignored, every questionable transaction, and even suggestions of manipulation from those closest to him. If that report becomes public, the consequences will be catastrophic. The Harris brand, built over decades, could collapse overnight. Fans would see not just a family in mourning, but a dynasty accused of covering up the truth. Lawyers are already rumored to be preparing defenses, knowing the leaks could spark investigations bigger than anyone imagined. So, here we are. A young life hanging by a thread. A family caught between grief and scandal. A fanbase torn between prayers and accusations. And an industry watching nervously, wondering if King Harris's fall will reveal secrets much larger than his own. Because in the end, this isn't just about one boy's tragic fight for survival. It's about fame, family, power, and the heavy price of living under a spotlight too bright for anyone to survive unscathed. And if the final report is as explosive as the whispers claim, then King Harris's story won't end in silence. It will end with an echo that shakes everything around it. Fan pages that once overflowed with birthday wishes, concert clips, and light-hearted moments now look like digital crime boards. Threads track timelines, hidden meetings, and questionable events. Reddit has turned into a giant investigation room where strangers act like detectives, piecing together the puzzle of King Harris's downfall. Then came the so-called final report. It wasn't an official release, but a leak dropped in fragments across the internet. The contents were devastating. The report described ignored medical warnings, shady financial movements, and strange supplier activity that couldn't be explained away. Analysts were quick to weigh in, suggesting the report hinted at something more sinister than carelessness, possibly deliberate negligence. The questions exploded instantly. Did the family protect their empire over King's health? Were outside players pulling strings for profit? Legal experts jumped into the conversation, predicting subpoenas, asset freezes, and even resignations from brand partnerships. Every business connected to King, whether music rights, sponsorships, or collaborations, was suddenly under review. The risk wasn't just public embarrassment. It was the possibility of financial ruin. Fans reacted with anger and heartbreak. Protests began in the streets, while online petitions gathered signatures demanding justice. One powerful viral clip showed supporters holding a candlelight vigil outside the hospital, chanting, "No more silence. We want justice." The symbolism was impossible to ignore. Behind closed doors, insiders whispered about emotional chaos within the family. Old grudges resurfaced, private arguments leaked, and whispers of secret payouts spread online. The once united front shown in interviews now appeared fractured and weak. Rumors of a mysterious recording only added fuel. If that tape surfaces, many believe it will confirm betrayal and manipulation, changing the story forever. Meanwhile, social media amplified the drama. Memes comparing the Harris family to dysfunctional reality show dynasties flooded Instagram and TikTok. Late-night hosts dissected every angle, mixing comedy with outrage. Clips of King's energetic stage performances played alongside hospital footage, creating a haunting picture of a young man's talent silenced by turmoil. And the stakes kept rising. Investigative blogs suggested the leaks could trigger multi-agency probes. Sources hinted that the FBI, IRS, and state regulators might already be circling. If the financial irregularities connect with the medical negligence, this case could reshape how celebrity accountability is handled in America. Then came the tipping point. A former associate claimed King's collapse could have been prevented if earlier warnings were taken seriously. That statement poured gasoline on an already raging fire. Public fury surged, and the possibility of lawsuits targeting multiple parties became real. The Harris family's PR team is now in overdrive, scrambling to manage a story too big to contain. Every statement is analyzed, every interview criticized, every silence judged. What began as a medical emergency has become a multi-layered scandal involving health, money, and power. The Harris dynasty stands at a crossroads. One path is transparency and accountability. The other is denial, legal chaos, and a legacy permanently stained. The world is watching closely, and no matter what happens, King Harris's final days have already changed everything.